Hi there, I'm Dr. Mary Travelbest, and I'm going to talk today about Colombia, Medellin, Colombia. This is part 2 of 2. But I'll start off with a listener spotlight idea. I'd like to do a listener spotlight on you if you want to share your story. And even better, if you want to be featured in an upcoming bucket list travel episode from Dr. Travelbest, send me a message on Instagram and I'll send you the details. I create this content for you, a woman in her prime, looking to travel. And now a quick fire FAQ. Drying out the wet clothing. How do you do that on the road? How do you dry your wet things while traveling, especially solo? Especially in a humid area, it's hard to get things dry. When you solo travel, you have more control over your time constraints, so you can plan to let things dry. When it's damp, the best way to dry your clothes is by maximizing water removal before drying. Try the towel roll trick. First, lay the clothes flat on a towel and then roll them up and twist to wring out the moisture. Use strong airflow and ventilation, such as fans or dehumidifiers, and space clothes out for even evaporation drying indoors. If safe, place clothes near a heater or a radiator, but not directly on it for fire safety. And you could use a hairdryer even if possible. So you can store thoroughly dried clothes in airtight containers or use moisture absorbers if needed. Sometimes you'll have to pack a wet garment, but you have some control if you're solo. And now, the 60-second confidence challenge. Navigation apps. Travel apps to use regularly before you leave. Let's see if you can make your list of about 5 of them. My favorites are Google Maps and Rome to Rio. Apple also has a map, and several others are decent. So pick a destination and research how to get there and the associated costs. Try it. If you like today's confidence challenge, we've got an entire chapter on maps in my A book. It's going to dive deep into building confidence using maps. Find the link in the description. Now, let's get into Medellin, Colombia, part 2. Colombia was the first country on my trip, and I really enjoyed Medellin. Even though it was raining a lot of the time I was there, for the most part, I felt safe. Part 1 discussed the changes since the 1990s and a few of the attractions I suggested. There have also been some problems. Colombia remains the world's leading cocaine producer, and armed groups and organized crime still participate in the trade. While the infamous Medellin cartel no longer operates, its historical legacy persists. In neighborhoods with tourist traffic, drugs may still be present, but such activity tends to occur behind the scenes. I didn't see any. Plaza Botero. Now, this is a sight to see in Medellin. It's one of the highlights. So Botero is an artist, and he specializes in representing people in statues, and each painting or sculpture tells a story. I looked him up recently. He passed away in September 23 at the age of 91, and I suggest you look him up, Botero. Now, I don't recommend visiting the Pablo Escobar Museum, as I've heard it's overrated. It reminded me a little bit of Elvis, like in his museum and his legacy, only Escobar illegally earned billions through drug cartels, like the movie Narco represented. I learned a lot about the history of Medellin, and I still want to know more. I had a walking tour with a guide named Sebastian, who shared a lot about Ferde de Gomez, too. So you might be asking, if I go to Medellin, where should I stay? You could try the Poblano neighborhood. I swam in a rooftop pool at the Los Patios Suites hostel, which provided a relaxing soak, and it offered me views of the surrounding neighborhoods. It rained a lot in the city, and it was May, which was during the fall season. One of the drawbacks of the rain and humidity was the presence of mosquitoes, My shoes also got wet and never really dried. A few mentioned things about Medellin. Just try to be safe, stay away from drug trafficking, and as a woman over 50, I'd highlight coffee tours, Comuna 13, storytelling, parts like RV, which I mentioned, cultural sites like the palaces, and some of these will offer really memorable experiences. Now for a slip up. Okay, so my smart move and slip up. I got hit by the caffeine in Colombia. That's right, I had too much. I had a hard time falling asleep. So instead of ordering a full cup and drinking it all, I should have just drank half of it. I had trouble sleeping due to the coffee and all the caffeine I was hyped up all day. So my suggestion is cut some caffeine or cut down on how much of it you drink. And now my 60-second confidence challenge and resource roundup. So I'm going to ask you to check your passport to make sure that you have at least 4 blank pages. If not, you should renew your passport. Airlines can refuse to board you internationally if you don't have this. You can also choose the 52-page passport book if that's available. And I'm just going to tell you about mantra and goodbye about Medellin. I got lost in Medellin, and it was a kind of a tough day. I turned around because I was frustrated. I was also weary, and it was raining, and I was soaked, and I was dejected, and I was upset, and I was mad at myself and felt bad. But then something changed. I turned around and started walking back to my hostel. The next thing I saw was a Christian church, and I was just about to start a service. It was on a Sunday. So I stayed, and I stayed for 2 hours. I really felt that God was with me on that journey. And there was a woman in the church, and she had her Uber driver drop me off near the metro so that I could then continue on my journey. That's what I was looking for when I got lost. So the day actually turned out better than expected. So I want to leave you today with the hope that your next trip will have a positive impact on you and others too.
What's on your travel bucket list? Tell the doctor and her team of women who travel the world seeking the very best. Dr. Travelbest, that is.